In our last lesson, we created some of the secondary details to our leg design. So we added the foot and a single hinge point at the outer edge and a single hinge point at the central supporting ring. Now we're going to refine the detail a little bit more. Firstly, using the same revolve command that we've used previously. Then we're going to adjust the leg into the correct position by using a new command. Under transform, we'll be using shear. And then thirdly, we'll be looking at the details in the foot. Okay, you'll notice in the sample that we looked at previously as our reference image, foot sample JPEG that should be in your reference file there are a number of holes in the surface there. So we're going to use the Boolean command and the polar array command in order to create those holes. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is create the hinge point on the bottom side of this little foot. We could have copied this down, but in this particular case, what we're going to do is create a different type of hinge. And in order to access that, we simply go to our layer manager, right click, and open up Con-C. Okay, and in this particular case, you'll see a construction line is already in place. We can turn off our layer manager. Before we do that, what we're going to do is just switch our current layer onto Con-C. Select that construction line, double click on perspective, and we'll bring up our right view. Double click on right view, and we're going to use the same command as we've previously used. So we're going to go surface and then scroll down to revolve. Now make sure that your snaps are activated and your ortho is activated, and we're going to click one end of that construction line, then the other end of the construction line. Always keep an eye on the command bar or glance at the command bar. The start angle is 0. We simply right click to move it forward. Then the end revolution will be 360 degrees. We're going to right click again, and you can see we've now created the poly surface on the Con-C layer nice and conveniently for that hinge point. So we'll just double click on the right view again. It's always handy to flick between the single view and the 4-point view so we can make sure that the resultant element that we've created is actually in the spot we think it is. So we can see there on the perspective view it's nicely placed. Okay, our second task with this lesson is to refine the position of the leg. You can see it's currently just slightly askew, and we need to move that up so it joins neatly with the supporting ring. So we simply left click on the leg. The ellipsoid and the loft that we made previously are all grouped together. We're going to double click on perspective with the left view. We'll open up the front view by double clicking on the front view, so that's the dominant view in place. And the command that we want this time is under the transform tab. So left click on transform. Scroll down to shear, and then make sure your snaps are activated, and you should snap onto the midpoint of the ellipsoid. Your ortho is already activated, so you're going to drag to approximately the center is fine. Left click, then go down to the command bar, or go down to the reference bar down here, click off ortho, left click, and you can see the element that we've activated now is clearly movable in there. So you can see the effect that it's taken. We're dragging up the canvas just slightly, or up the interface just slightly, and we're repositioning that leg such that it falls in the middle of the supporting ring. So that's looking quite nice. Double click on the front view to see the resultant effect. That's looking good. Now we need to add the holes in the bottom of the foot. So in order to do that, it's a good practice once our model is starting to get a little bit more complicated to isolate the problem. So we're going to select, left click, hold down shift, so we've selected the outer construction line. We're going to select the foot, and we're just going to pan back in and take the point that was in the middle of our foot at the beginning of our construction phase. Now we want to hide those elements, so left click on hide the light bulb. You can see it's been hidden from view. We'll just hide that element as well, just hide that, there we go. And we're going to dig underneath the triangle there. We'll just press again, once it's a blue triangle, scroll across to the end where it says swap hidden and visible, and you can see our elements have been swapped out. And now what we can do is we no longer need that little leg that we had previously as a reference. We can simply grab it and press delete, and it's done. And now we want to add the references for our holes that we're going to put in here. So we're going to begin with a construction line. Right click on a construction layer. We're going to work on layer A. So make layer A current. You can see it activated down there. Turn the layer manager off, and we're going to make a small circle in the bottom of this point here. So we've got our snaps activated. Just make sure quad is ticked off. You can see me circling it there, and we're going to use the circle command. Okay, make sure the label quad comes up on screen, drag out to the side, and simply we'll make a hole 5 millimeters in radius. So 5 keyed in, enter, and you can see it's activated there. Reactivate ortho, and we're just going to use the left key of the mouse and drag up. We're just going to disable the snaps for a moment so it doesn't grab all around the place. We're just going to drag by eye into about the middle of that plate, so you can sort of see it's sitting approximately where we're happy for it to be. That's looking good. Now the next thing we need to do is extrude that up as a cylinder. So in order to do that, we go to our solid command, right down, and you'll see extrude planar curve, and the one you want is at the very top, straight. Okay, so extrude planar curve straight, and you can see it's dragging up, and we want to reactivate snap, so we'll just take it off disabled, and we're going to snap onto the end of the line there. So you can see we have a neat little cylinder which comes up to the lip there, and then we're going to run our countersink in after that. So the tool that we're going to use, or the geometry that we're going to create, is a truncated cone. So we activate the little blue triangle, drag to the side, and you can see right in the center, truncated cone. There it is there. And we've already got center activated, so if we just float our cursor in the middle there, it's in the right spot. We drag out to the side, you can see it's activated. Then we drag up ever so slightly if you look on the right side view, and then we've now made the countersunk. Great, excellent. So we've got two pieces of geometry. We want to join those together. So I've held down shift, so I've selected the truncated cone, I've held down shift, and then I've clicked the cylinder, and we want to join those together so they're one piece of geometry. We're going to use Boolean Union. So we scroll down the standard menu bar on the left, and you can see Boolean Union is the first one up. There we go. If we click on it, you can see both are grabbed. Next thing we need to do is make a polar array. Okay, so that will spread that round, we'll duplicate that around a center point. So we go to transform, down to the bottom, the midpoint there, array, and then the second one down on the second menu there is polar. Okay, we're going to click on, just click end off tab. We've got point activated. You can see there we're on point. Then click. Now check the number of items that you've won on the system there. By default here at this stage it's 4, but if you need to key in 4, please just type that in. Okay, right click. Its angle fill is by default 360 degrees, so all you need to do is right click again. And the important thing at the end of this is make sure you right click one more time to accept that command. So if you have a look on the perspective view, we've got all 4 elements scattered around or radially placed around the foot. Now we need to hold down shift and select all of those poly surfaces. There we go, we've got all 4 selected, and we want to subtract those from the foot. So we're just going to use the group command. There's the Venn diagram down the side of the standard command bar. That's grouped those. Now we just want to grab the foot, and we're going to be subtracting those from the foot. So if we dig under the Boolean command that we've just used on that little blue triangle to get the pull out, you can see the second one across is Boolean difference. Left click on that. Now we're just going to grab the elements that we've just made, right click, and you can see the hole's been made. And the last step, double click on perspective, right click, and we'll see what we've got in place. Great, and you can see now in this lesson what we've done is we've added a little additional hinge detail, we've adjusted the line of the leg into its correct location, and we've refined the foot detail. Okay, see you in the next lesson.